Now, coming back to the point I mentioned earlier in the conversation, which was around the 2008 banking crisis, quick recap of history, if you like. At the time, the governments of the Western world all decided in unison, which is curious in its own right, but all decided in unison that the best way to handle the banking crisis, because the banks ran out of money, okay, that they would then print a load of money that they got from the banks and then shovel the money into the banks to get it out there onto the streets to help people borrow money to keep the economies of the world going. And as a consequence, to encourage the use of this funny money that was pumped into the economy, interest rates were dropped to all-time record lows, okay, of, we had base rates of 0% in the States, 0.5% over here, and those base rates were incredibly low, which led to a lot of people taking on an awful lot of debt, okay, over a long period of time at very low interest rates. And at the time, the narrative was that, interest rates are going to be lower forever. We can borrow money internationally. It's fine. There's no reason for interest rates to be at 5, 6, 7%, which is their long-term average over the course of the last however many years, the last 100+ years. And so we're in this curious position now, guys and girls, where interest rates have started to go back up in order to stem inflation. That's what we're being told. And I think it's very interesting now watching a number of people that have been on these very low rate deals that are now coming to a position where they have to refinance, or buyers are now trying to go into the property market without the availability of finance that they once thought that they would have. And what makes it really interesting, guys and girls, is that we have a situation where buyers are encouraged to take on an awful lot of debt to buy a property. And the question I would ask you is, how much is a property worth if you're not able to borrow 50, 60, 70, 80% of the purchase price? Okay, so if you look at the way that most people buy houses, and let's use the 80-20 principle, right? If you look at the way that most people buy properties, let's say that we look at 80% of mass market buyers will probably borrow upwards of 75% of the purchase price in order to acquire the property, which means their availability of cash to buy a property is only about 25%. And the reason I'm suggesting this is because if what I think is about to happen is going to happen, which is a repeat of the 1929, 1930s depression, then we are facing some very challenging, or going to face some very challenging times ahead. And I'm not in the game of trying to dramatize or scare anybody or have you guys running for the hills. That's not my intention in sharing this. But what my intention is to awaken you guys to the possibility that, the market that we had over the last few years has very much disappeared. And if you're still enjoying the tail end of that, guys, make hay whilst the sun shines, because things are about to change. And I can genuinely see a situation where interest rates will hit 7 or 8%, maybe even slightly higher over the course of the next 12 months. Now, that makes a very big difference when you consider that people were getting mortgage products at 2-3% previously. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly the impact that's going to have on the property market and on property prices, but you can imagine that it's going to have a pretty severe impact. And if you look back to the 1929, 1930s depression, property prices and the stock market fell significantly. And it took over 25 years for those markets to recover. Now, the world moves a lot faster nowadays than it did back in the 1920s. Okay. But that doesn't mean to say that the impact may not be as catastrophic to the marketplaces if this finely balanced equation falls over. Okay, and we can see signs that there are many things happening in the marketplace at the moment, or the global economy, should I say, that is indicating that all is not quite as it seems. And so I just want you guys to be prepared is really what I'm trying to say, is that the economy is changing, the property market is changing, and you guys, if you're going to thrive over the course of the next 5 years, then you're really going to have to start doing things differently to what a lot of other people are doing. And if you want my honest advice, it comes down to, and the winners will be those who can get access to their pipeline commission faster than everybody else. So one of the things that you'll hear people talk about in business is that they talk about cash is king. It's actually cash flow is king. Okay. And if you haven't got the cash flow coming to your business to pay your bills when they come due, then it's lights out time. And this is what I'm seeing for a number of estate agents that have gone to the wall in recent months, that they have been unfortunately positioned where the cash isn't coming in quick enough, and their debts start to accumulate, because the debts will always fall due on their due date, right? There's no flexibility in that. The only variable is how quickly your income starts to come into your business. And unfortunately, if it's not coming in quick enough, then, as I say, you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your staff, and that's when the business has to fold. And I've seen this a lot in the legal industry over the course of the last 2 years. You've had very successful businesses in the conveyancing space, particularly, who have been either put out of business because their professional indemnity insurance skyrocketed, or they were just unable to manage the burden of their debt that they'd taken on. And don't forget, a lot of businesses over the last couple of years have taken on a lot of debt in the form of bounce back loans and deferment of VAT or deferment of taxes, etc. And now that debt is sitting on their balance sheet that requires a monthly payment. And if your income isn't coming in quick enough, or your income drops by 10 or 20%, that can be enough to destroy your profit margins, and to then mean that you're in a position where you're making no money, you're running at a loss, and unfortunately you've got to close the doors. As I say, not trying to tell you this to scare you guys. I'm here to help and support anybody who wants to be helped and supported along the way. I've got some pretty neat ideas, if I do say so myself. I do encourage you to reach out for a copy of the Estate Agent Secrets trilogy book series that I put together in order to try and help you guys, because I could see the writing was on the wall and this was going to happen sooner rather than later. The one thing I didn't expect was for the property market to go crazy after the pandemic was announced. That was one of those things I just thought, wow, how did that actually happen? But now I think the saying is the chickens are coming home to roost. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I really, really do have a mad passion for the property market, for estate agents in particular, and I really want to help and support you guys as much as possible. I do, believe it or not, even though some people have seen my spats on LinkedIn and other social media platforms with conveyancers, I do actually have a soft spot for conveyancers as well. And I want to see estate agents and conveyancers to earn a good wage, to earn a good living from the property market. It's perfectly possible. But it's not possible if we're going to follow the same old tired advice that's been handed out time and time again over the course of the last few years. Okay, the time for change is now, guys. As I say, I'm not saying that I've got all the answers, but I've got more than most, I think, and I'm happy to share those with you for anybody who's interested in learning more. All right, so that said, let's get on with today's webinar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's been the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. We're here every week doing these. I absolutely love being able to address some of your questions here and share some knowledge and advice, which I hope you find useful and entertaining. If nothing else, if you want to submit your question to us, you can do so. Send it through to us via email, which is happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. You can also send it through to us on Twitter or Instagram. Handle is @WiggyWam_UK. That's @WiggyWam_UK. Or you can go to our website, which is www.wiggywam.co.uk. That's wiggywam.co.uk, where you can sign up, you can set up a profile on that website and send us your questions through there as well, which would be amazing. So, as I say, guys, wishing you all the very best of luck this week and going forward. I hope you're going to get some time out for your summer holidays as well. Hopefully the weather will pick up and be even more glorious now than we've had over the course of the last couple of weeks. And if there's anything we can do from WiggyWam to help and support you in your journey, it would be our pleasure to do so. So thanks ever so much indeed for joining, guys, and wishing you all the very best of luck in the future. Good night and God bless. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
you.